Good evening. You are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Dozens are martyred and wounded in Israeli strikes on the Gaza Strip. Sudanese political and civil society groups meet in Cairo as part of efforts to end the war in Sudan. And French voters turns out in force for the second round of a parliamentary election today. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. The Zionist Israeli occupation forces continue their missile strikes and artillery shelling throughout the Gaza Strip. During the past hours, 6 Palestinians were martyred during an attack in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood in northern Gaza, and 6 others, including 2 children, were martyred as a result of the occupation bombing a house in another area. Palestinian rescue crews recovered the bodies of 3 martyrs and a number of wounded after they were targeted in the port area west of Gaza City, while the search is still ongoing for missing persons under the rubble. In the southern Gaza Strip, 3 Palestinians were injured in a bombing that targeted government buildings in the city of Khan Yunis. 4 others were also injured as a result of the occupation bombing a house in the Nusayrat camp, and they were taken to hospital. Sudanese political and civil society groups meeting today in Cairo agreed on the necessity to end the war in Sudan and the importance of committing to the Jeddah Declaration. The gathering is considered the latest effort to end the war in Sudan. Sudan descended into chaos in April last year when simmering tensions between the country's military and a notorious paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, exploded into open fighting in the capital Khartoum and elsewhere in the country. The devastating conflict has killed more than 14,000 people and wounded 33,000 others, according to the United Nations. French voters turned out in force for the second round of a parliamentary election today that could see the far-right National Rally RN emerge as the strongest party, severely denting President Emmanuel Macron's authority. Turnout stood at 26.3% by around noon, up from 18.99% during the second round of voting in 2022, the Interior Ministry said. The latest opinion polls have forecast the RN to win the most seats in the National Assembly, but predicted it may fall short of an absolute majority. A hung parliament would herald a prolonged period of instability and policy deadlock in the Eurozone's second biggest economy. Macron called the snap election after his ticket was trounced by the RN in European Parliament elections last month. A village in a border region of western Russia was evacuated today following a series of explosions after debris from a downed Ukrainian drone set fire to a nearby warehouse. Governor Alexander Guseyev said that falling wreckage triggered the detonation of explosive objects and no casualties were reported, but residents of a nearby village in the Podogronetsky district were evacuated. A Ukrainian security official stated that a strike had been carried out on a warehouse storing ammunition in the Voronezh region. Russia's Ministry of Defense did not address the strike in their morning briefing, but said that air defense systems had destroyed a Ukrainian drone over the Pilgorod region. At least 47 people were killed after heavy monsoon rains in Nepal triggered flash floods, landslides and lightning strikes. The Labour Minister Dol Prasad Aryal said while addressing the National State Assembly that 4 people were killed in monsoon-triggered floods and 24 others were killed in landslides. Another 19 people were killed in lightning strikes, taking the total death toll to 47, he added. Severe flooding in the capital city Kathmandu rendered the streets, homes and vehicles underwater, forcing residents to wade through brown floodwater to go about their daily tasks. A time-lapse video by Alert California shows the lake fire burning in Santa Barbara, California after 2 days starting from Friday, July 5th. Reuters was able to confirm the location of the video from terrain and trees that match satellite imagery, and corroborating video shows the same scene. The local media reported today that the blaze started on Friday afternoon when it was estimated to be about 4,600 acres in size, adding that it has since grown to roughly 3 times that initial figure. The cause of the fire remains unknown. Still to come in our news bulletin. After a year-long voyage that never left Earth, NASA crew emerges from their simulated Mars mission. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Sultan Qaboos University and St. Petersburg State University in the Russian Federation signed a cooperation agreement in the field of student exchange that includes undergraduate and postgraduate students. The agreement aims to strengthen the university's plans for international cooperation and discussing ways of cooperation in areas of common interest. The agreement was signed from the Omani side by Her Highness Sayyida Dr. Muna bint Fahd Al Saeed, Assistant Vice Chancellor for International Cooperation in Sultan Qaboos University, and from the Russian side by Dr. Sergei Vladimir Andreyushin, Vice President of St. Petersburg State University. The commercial records registered in the Sultanate of Oman reached 450,768 records by the end of the first quarter of the current year. The Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion confirmed that legally registered commercial records witnessed an increase by 97.2% compared to the first quarter of last year. The ministry indicated that tendency of investors, companies and owners of small and medium enterprises to submit their transactions through the electronic portal Oman Business Platform has greatly contributed to the acceleration of the completion of their transactions and obtaining their various commercial records with ease. The crew of a NASA mission to Mars emerged from their craft after a year-long voyage that never left Earth. The 4 volunteer crew members spent more than 12 months inside NASA's first simulated Mars environment at Johnson Space Center in Houston. The first crew focused on establishing possible conditions for future Mars operations through simulated spacewalks, as well as growing and harvesting vegetables to supplement their provisions and maintaining the habitat and their equipment. They also worked through challenges as a real Mars crew would be expected to experience, including limited resources, isolation, and delays in communications of up to 22 minutes with their home planet. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main headlines once again. Dozens are martyred and wounded in Israeli strikes on the Gaza Strip. Sudanese political and civil society groups meet in Cairo as part of efforts to end the war in Sudan. And French voters turn out in force for the second round of a parliamentary election today. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night and stay safe.